Howdy folks and welcome to Xaine's World. Today we're going to go over everything portals in No Man's Sky. Portals allow you to traverse a galaxy in seconds, going to any planet in the current galaxy that you inhabit. Each planet has a portal that can be used to either go to another planet via its portal, or come from another planet's portal. And while they all send and receive, you cannot use the receiving portal to go out again once you are already through a portal. The easiest way to understand this is that by using a portal to dial another, you create a link that can only be broken on the side that you use to create that link. The system you portal to becomes a sort of pocket system. Once through a portal, you are limited to the things you can do. You cannot place a base terminal when through a portal. You cannot use any portal in the system you portal to while in that pocket system. You also cannot use the space station's teleporter. It will simply say that there is interference. You cannot call in your freighter, and lastly, you cannot warp out of the system. All of this is to prevent you from just portaling to the other side of the galaxy and having free reign with no cost. To set up bases, call your freighter, get a teleport link, free reign of warping, you must not be through a portal and must simply warp there. Made easier with the help of a ship designed for warping long distance, like an upgraded Explorer or Exotics type ship, and even easier with clever use of black holes. You can find a monster guide to starships linked in the description. It has timestamps in its description which I advise you use, as well as some new small guides that focus specifically on black holes, warping and upgrading your ship to the best of its warping capabilities. Portals are singular per planet and are quick and easy to find. Just a few steps that with preparation will take you just a few minutes. Firstly, you are going to want a race item. By this I mean one of these three specific race items: Gek Relic, Korvax Casing or Viking Dagger. The one you need is related to the race that controls the system, so either when hovering over in the galactic map or just look in your discoveries page of the main menu, you will be able to check which race runs the system you are in. As you can imagine, it is a Gek Relic for Gek, Korvax Casing for Korvax, and Viking Dagger for Viking. The easiest method of obtaining these by far is by buying them from ships that land at trading posts. But there are also multiple other ways. Some will drop from the green crates you see lying around at points of interest. You can even obtain them in step 2 if you wish to just repeat the step instead of hunting for a trading post. Finding a trading post is incredibly easy if you have the required tech. I am talking about the economy scanner. The economy scanner not only allows you to see the economic details of a system in the galactic map before you have visited it, but also allows you to scan for trading posts via the pop-up HUD menu. It's under the cog. For information on obtaining the economy scanner and everything Starship related, check this mega guide out. It has everything you could ever want to know about ships in it and is linked in the description. Once you have your race item, or before if you want to skip step 1, you will want to pop down a signal booster. For this you are going to need a navigation data. These can be found in buildings regularly, as well as often on one of the desks or tables in a space station, on the blueprint side, which is on the left as you fly in. Use your navigation data with the signal booster to search for artifacts. This will give you a waypoint to one of 3 location types: a ruin, a plaque or a monolith. What you are after is a monolith, so you may need 3 of those navigation data. Once you have the waypoint, head to the monolith. Before interacting with it, be sure to grab the 3 new words from the surrounding knowledge stones. They may prove useful in the riddle if you skip step 1. The monolith upon interacting will present you with a riddle. As well as this, it will have another option at the bottom, which is to locate a portal. Using the race item with this option will give you a waypoint to the portal on that planet, except for in some cases which I'll go into shortly. If you skip step 1 and so don't have the race item, you're going to need at least 1 more navigation data than otherwise, because you are going to do the riddle. Upon correctly answering the riddle, you will usually be given the race item required, but doing the riddle will close off the monolith, preventing you from locating the portal with it, which means you will just need to find another monolith. Be sure to search for the other monolith while at the first or very far away, as there is a system that prevents very close points of interest from being the one you are directed to. If you are close to it but not close enough, it may direct you back to the monolith you can no longer use. You can however solve the riddle after locating a portal, which can be useful for gaining another race item to use later, as the item used will be consumed in the process. Now, that outlier situation where it may not show you the portal on the planet you are doing this from is when you have already searched for a portal in that system. It will often bug out a little and just send you right back to the first located portal in the system, regardless of whether you are on the same planet. But there is a good solution for finding the rest of the portals in the system, which will also require the least effort. You use the first portal to find the rest. Once at the portal and the DHD is charged, interact with the DHD and find out the address to the portal you are at. Note the address down and dial the address again, only this time change the first glyph of the address to bird, face, diplo, moon, waypoint or boat, skipping the one the address already uses of course. These glyphs have numbers. Bird is 1, face is 2, diplo 3, etc. The first glyph of an address refers to the planetary index for the planet the portal resides on. The closest planet to the space station is 1 and so forth. Sun, which is 0, or Scarab, which is 7, cannot ever be a glyph used as a planetary index, as each system has 1 to 6 planets in it. If there is no planet that the glyph is related to for the index, the portal will default to the first planet in the system dialed. When cycling through the planets in the system, just pop a beacon outside the portal to note its location, or just note its long and lat via the analysis visor. Upon locating a portal that you have never used before, you will notice it is sort of broken, or just not powered. To render the portal's DHD or dial home device usable, you must charge it. This will require a bunch of the basic substances. To keep it simple, it's split up into red, yellow and blue. Red can be charged with carbon, condensed carbon or oxygen, yellow with sodium and sodium nitrate, and blue with cobalt, ionized cobalt, dihydrogen, deuterium or salt. You can use any combination of differing amounts of the substances relevant to each slot. This is dependent on its charge. To put it simply, you'll require far less ionized cobalt than cobalt to charge a slot, as it is a superior state. There are a total of 16 different glyphs, and they are used in the portal system to dial with. Think of your phone, which has 10 digits, 0 to 9. Well, this is that, except it has 16 digits, as it is a representation of hexadecimal, which is 0 to 9 and then A to F. Because of this, the glyphs you will gain each represent a hexadecimal digit, and they go in order. Sun is 0, bird is 1, face is 2, diplo is 3, moon is 4, waypoint is 5, boat is 6, scarab is 7, dragonfly is 8, swirly or black hole is 9, hex is A, whale is B, TP is C, rocket is D, Y is E and Pythagoras is F. Of course, the names for the glyphs I've given there are not canon. There are no canon names for them, so we just use descriptive names. Many have slightly different names, but as long as you get which one to one means, it shouldn't be an issue. When you collect your glyphs, they will be collected in order from 0 to F. You can dial an address with just the first glyph. It is a very well travelled planet. With just the first 2 glyphs, you can go to a large amount of planets. I used to have a database on Xainesworld.com that showed a location for all items you may wish to harvest from the wilds on planets that only require the first 2 glyphs to dial. I'll likely bring that back for Beyond. As for where to obtain your glyphs, there are 2 methods, and which one you will do will depend on how you want to play. The most straightforward but likely more time consuming method is to complete a large portion of the Artemis questline. At one point in the questline, quite far into it, you'll do a mission called The Purge. I'm avoiding spoilers, so I'll only tell you exactly what you need to know. Just that during this you will warp a few times, and each warp will give you a glyph. This questline is long, but very cool, lots of lore, and it is built to be a sort of extension of Awakenings, which is the original tutorial questline. After you finish Awakenings, you'll receive a signal. This is the start of the Artemis questline. You'll learn through it multiple factors of the game that aren't properly covered in Awakenings, and for a new player without a decently established save, some of the missions will require some solid time investment. So this method for attaining glyphs is more for the chilled out folk who want the story and aren't in any big rush. The second method is to hunt for them. You'll need to warp to different systems, check the space station for a traveller NPC, and if you find one, Give them 100 nanites to gain a waypoint to a gravesite. These gravesites, when interacted with, will bestow upon you the next glyph. A grave will only give you one at a time, and while it is possible for them to refresh, it is a convoluted and largely inconsistent affair. A traveller will point you to the same grave no matter how many times you pay. Often a different traveller found in the same system will point you to the same grave found before. To avoid wasting time and nanites, I would advise you simply warp, check station, do your thing, then move along. You can find travellers on trading posts among other points of interest, but it is quicker in the long run to just stick to the station. Warp cells are super easy and cheap to make, just a bit of condensed carbon and chromatic metal, then dust for the casing. Upgrading your starship's warp capabilities with S-Class hyperdrive modules purchased in space stations will not only allow you to warp further, but more times by increasing the uses of a warp cell by 100% per S-Class module. Also, for gaining nanites, check out the new video on that for the most efficient methods to suit your playstyle, linked in the description. A few last things here. Portals can only be used to traverse a galaxy you inhabit and cannot send you to another galaxy, currently that is. It is speculated that this may be possible in Beyond, but the same was speculated for Next. If you are watching during Beyond and it is now possible, I will add a note in the pinned comment. It is advised not to save when through a portal, or at least not fully save. This is because it is a huge game. Bugs will always exist, and having your manual save always be present on the original side of the portal eradicates the possibility of getting stuck. For permadeath players who only get the one, I would suggest just never ending a session through the portal to be safe. It's a generally good idea to mark your portals. The waypoints will disappear when you reach the DHD of the portal, so always keep at least one beacon or the supplies to make one with you, so you can mark the portal for later use. Don't build a base within 525 units of a portal that you plan to ever make public. As a protective measure, Hello Games made it so bases right on top of the portal will not be visible by other players. This is to prevent griefing, where people block a portal in and other such tricky things. This has caused issues with the Londinium base, which is closer than 525, but barely closer, requiring constant uploading in order to be seen, sometimes by people popping through. If you would like to learn more about the various things covered in this guide, then check the description for playlists and links to many other guides. Special thank you to all of the fine folks supporting Xaine's World on Patreon and through the join button below. Your support is truly appreciated. Lots more coming. Subscribe so you don't miss out.